Hello, welcome to my channel Reddit Review. Today we are going to see an episode of Entitled Parents. After each story, we are going to rate the story based upon its entitledness from 0 to 5. 5 being the highest level of entitledness. Let's get in. I just overheard my mother on the phone telling one of her friends how lazy and how weak the older kids are these days because in her time the eldest child took care of the younger siblings while the parents worked to provide for all the children. I am the child, except I am not a child anymore. I am 24 years old. My siblings are 8 and 7. I work full time and study part time. I want to be a nurse. I have not moved out because I help my single mother with her children. They are my half siblings, and the dad walked out on her before the second child was even born. And no, he does not pay support. I help pay their schooling and their sports. I pay bills in the house and clean after myself and help spring clean the house every weekend between studies. I do not help her with discipline of the kids because they are not my responsibility. I did not have kids at almost 40 with a married man. They are fully her responsibility. I am far from lazy or weak. I work 40 hours a week, study 20 hours a week, give or take a few hours. I still attend my dance studio once a week with a full time fitness routine, and I volunteer at the hospital every second weekend. So, what if I do not do anything but help financially with my two half siblings? I still care for them. I pay for everything they want and need when she cannot. I take care of them on weekends and take them out when she needs a break. She has never once offered to take them out if I am in a class or need the house to be quiet. Not once has she ever given me a break. I have always needed to be the perfect daughter and just suck it all up. They are not my children, they are her children. I'm so upset with her now, calling me lazy and weak just because I did not step up as their mom when she birthed them. I have my own life and my own goals. I don't need to live at home. I can move anytime I want. I stay to help her cope with everything. Does she really think I do not want to leave? How many times have I wished I could meet my friends for a getaway weekends, but I pass because she will not make it for a if I am not home for 3 days. She cannot even cope one day without me. She begged me to move back the first time I moved out of the house, pleaded with me to stay at home and help her. And this is how she thanks me by calling me lazy and weak to her friends. I'm so pissed at her now. If you only have more than one kid, so you can have a spare parent for them when you do not feel like it. Don't have children at all. It is your kid, your responsibility, not the oldest sibling's responsibility. Dear OP, your mother has clearly burdened you with unrealistic expectations. You need to communicate with her and set clear boundaries. For this entitled parents, I am giving 2.5 out of 5 and EP points. So I run a local brownie pack. I was sorting out some old paperwork and it reminded me of an incident I had with a parent a few years ago. We were preparing for our yearly camping trip, and I was approached by a parent one evening a few months before camp. This is the conversation we had, paraphrased from memory. EP, I need to talk to you about Flossie. I'm worried she won't be able to eat anything at camp. She's incredibly fussy. Me, no problem. I'm happy to try and accommodate her. If Flossie doesn't like what we are having for dinner, I can make her some extra sandwiches and snacks, and she will be fine with those for a few days. EP, she'll eat sandwiches but only certain kinds. Me, no problem. What does she like? EP, sometimes she'll eat ham, but sometimes she'll only have cheese. Sometimes she wants plain bread. Me, okay. EP. Sometimes she'll only eat cheese if the cheese is grated, but the other times it has to be sliced. Me, I can make ham or cheese. AP. Also, sometimes she'll only eat white bread, but sometimes she hates white and she'll only have brown. Me. EP. Sometimes she like her bread cut into triangles, but some days they have to be rectangles or she can't eat them. Me. I don't honestly think I can accommodate that. I'm not making multiple attempts per meal. I'm happy to provide plain ham or cheese sandwiches in the bread of her choice, but I'm not making loads of variations for each meal in the hopes she'll eat one. I have never had a girl go hungry at camp. Usually, they are so tired from all the activities that they are starving and wolf down anything I serve, even the fussy ones. Unfortunately, Flossie did not go to camp that year. Her mom didn't want to risk her being hungry. I can't imagine dealing with this nonsense at home on a daily basis. OP, I think this is more of a case of entitled kid than entitled parent. So I'm giving 0 out of 5 EP points for this mom. I met my late husband's mother 2 times in my life, and I wanted to share the story about the first time I had the displeasure of meeting her. Firstly, at the time, my late husband, who was then my boyfriend, had little to no contact with her. She was not a good person and was horrible to him growing up. Well, I felt like it was responsibility to at least tell her we were going to get married and invite her to the wedding. So we invited her over to my condo for a small sit down snacking lunch. Well, she got to my condo and took off her boots and came in. And she was all smiles, but through the conversation, she was being really overly happy, like fake happy, putting in her little snide remarks about me. She was also explaining her family's heritage. She proudly explained that she was born in England, that her family had to flee the country because her grandfather gambled the family business away. Well, she was very proud that her family owned a brothel for several generations. It had been a little time, so I offered her a drink. And she told me she doesn't drink coffee or tea. The only thing she drinks is Pepsi. Like, seriously, no water, only Pepsi. I don't drink soda, so I don't buy soda. So I said, sorry, I don't have any soda, but she pulled a bottle out of her bag. The time had gotten on, and my husband decided it was time to lead the conversation to the task at hand. Well, it came to the point where he told her that we were getting married and it's probably going to happen very soon. She right out came out with a laugh and a no, you're not. My husband just said, mm, what? Yeah, we are, and it's going to happen sooner than later. Well, she lost it, raising her voice, almost screaming that there is no way in hell her son is ever going to marry a dirty Chinese girl. She lost her mind, just pointing at me, saying she forbids him marrying this dirty female dog and other stuff. At this time, my husband just shut down. He didn't know how to deal with her. Lots of trauma from growing up. Through most of this, I'm just sitting there until a huge smile is plastered on my face. I started giggling at her. Her face is red. She's almost foaming at the mouth. I looked at her, trying to stop the laughing, and I say, how am I the dirty one in this situation? Like you were just proudly explaining that you literally descend from pimps, prostitutes, and degenerate gamblers. You even said you grew up in a brothel, and yet I am the dirty one. Well, she snaps at me, screamed, Belle, I didn't effing work there. Well, I said, no, no, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to offend you. I have respect for women in that profession. They are hard workers, have a hard life. You know, you got to do what you got to do to survive. Well, she wasn't happy and threw her soda in my face. I was just stunned and in shock. She got up and started fake crying while telling my late husband to get up and leave. Well, she gets to her boots and starts screaming again. I had just gotten my dog, Garfield, a few weeks before, so he's just a little baby. And he had knocked her boots over, and she screams that, these are Gucci boots. I owe her $200 for new ones. Well, I laugh again at her and say, yeah, right. If you spend $200 for what you think are Gucci boots, they are 100% not Gucci. You will pay at least $2,000 for Gucci boots. And is George a new brand of Gucci? There was a label of George on the heel. Well, she is just screaming at this point, grabs the door and slams it on her way out. My husband is just looking at me and says, "You thought this was a good idea. You wanted this." I was happy never seeing her again. Well, I just said sorry about a million times and we went out for a big lunch. I learned two things that day. First one, my mother in law is a female dog. Second, never, ever, ever buy white furniture again. Well, OP, I think your mother in law deserves 3 out of 5 EP points, but 30 out of 5 racist points. So, I grew up in a very small country in Africa, born in the early 90s. Now, if you know Africa and the 90s, you know HIV and AIDS was like this panini we were under. I lost my mom to the disease. It's sad because she was taking care of my sick aunt with no gloves, and that's how she contracted it. My mom was weird, lol. The only possession I had from her was lingerie. Mind you, I was like 6. No 6 years old should have creative undies. Long story short, I never wore them, but I kept them because it was the only thing I had from her. A decade later, my father met another woman while we resided in the UK. He never told us anything about her. Anyways, because of being affected, not infected, mind you, by the virus in the UK and the USA, I don't know about others, but me and my little brother got special treatments. We had a social worker that would spoil us on holidays. Me and my brother had a toy room. I love and still love Barbies and baby dolls. Well, long and behold, one summer, I went to my aunt's house for the holidays. When I came back, my heart was in disarray. That's when my dad told me I had a stepmom. I had to call her mom. No choices. And she threw away all my toys. She must have went through my drawers, and you know what breaks my heart? The only thing she tossed was the knickers from my mom. I don't know what's more entitled, meeting a man online after a few months and forcing his kids to call you mom in the first in person meeting, or throwing away toys you didn't even buy for no reason, or spying in their drawers. You know what, right now? I have no time for therapy. Hopefully, I can just vent on here and let the steam out of my ears. Well, OP, I don't think she will ever be a parent to you, but I will still give her 3 out of 5 EP points. That's all for today, people. Tell me which story you like the most and how many EP points will you give for that. Smash that like button and subscribe.